Hi, thanks for joining us. This is the Erudite DM, and today I have a recurring guest with me. This is Will from Runeforge Tabletop Gaming on YouTube, and Will makes a lot of great Shadowdark stuff. So we're going to ask him a few things today. Will, what's going on?
Awesome. Well, first of all, Mike, thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to talk to you again. This is the second time in just a couple of weeks, so that's a real pleasure. What's going on is that I have just rolled out a new adventure for Shadowdark, Wicked Witch of the Woods, my first level dark fairy tale adventure that is designed to be run specifically in about 2 to 4 hours, which make it pretty perfect for a Halloween one shot.
Yeah, I think the image that they should be seeing on the screen, our guests should be looking at, maybe tipped our hand at
Yeah.
what was coming. And I don't know if I remember if I was talking to you about this when we did the first video together a couple of weeks back. Will was nice enough to come on and talk with me about a very successful setting that he's written called Shadows of Camelot, which has some Robin Hood stuff, some King Arthur stuff for Shadowdark specifically. So, Will, they can get that on drive-through, by the way, and check it out.
Yep, there is both. There's a PDF copy, and for the Shadows of Camelot specifically, there is a hardcover copy available as well.
Sweet. Yeah, and and I've got it. It is gorgeous. It looks really cool. Have not had a chance to play it yet. Maybe those knucklehead friends of mine that I play with on Monday nights. Hope they're not watching this, but they wouldn't be shocked, I guess. That would be fun, maybe to pick up a one shot one night and pull something out of there. But this is the other piece that you have out right now, just in time for Halloween. And we were just talking about horror and in October and all that. Is October, do you typically get into the October looking for one shots and theme related gaming?
I do. I'm actually a big proponent of it. We usually do. I think we've done a Halloween game every year for the last 3 or 4 years now. I don't know if we actually have one planned for this year because we kind of did it early for playtesting for Wicked Witch of the Woods. But yeah, I love doing it. It's one of my favorite things, and I'm actually really surprised because it feels like this is a much more prevalent thing in the 5e community, and it feels like maybe OSR folks are a little bit less likely to do like Halloween related one shots and stuff. But maybe that's just my perception.
Yeah. Yeah, I have friends that do and have for years and years. I haven't participated quite as much for a variety of reasons, but this year I think I'm going to throw some things out there, and I got to move fast. It's already today. Recording date is October 8th, so the month is end of the month is going to be here. The kiddies will be at the door banging around for candy, and I'll be wanting to squeeze in a session. I will say part of the reason I don't get maybe quite as enthusiastic is my wife and I are approaching 60. Our kids are grown and in their 30s now, and we don't have any grandkids yet. So Halloween has kind of lost a little of its luster. And frankly, I could play horror all year long.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing.
Yeah, I'm a grimdark guy. I love that kind of stuff. And sometimes people I play with look at me like, seriously, dude, this is where we're going? That's pretty nasty. I'm like, well, come on, follow me into the horror space. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I get that impression. I think a lot of OSR folks are just kind of playing these types of games year round. So it's like not special for them in the same way that more of a high fantasy, upbeat, like 5e kind of group wants to dip into the horror and the fantasy side of things, just specifically for Halloween, and then go back to their higher fantasy game afterwards. So it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I get it too. Too much of one thing or one theme or one sentiment kind of gets old after a while. And some people are okay getting creeped out once a year, but just don't enjoy it maybe as much as I do.
Sure.
To each his own, absolutely. One last question, and this is about how horror works. Just answer it however you like, and we'll try to keep. I probably should have waited till after we talk about the adventure.
You're fine.
Let me throw it out there. So when we're talking about horror in a game and we're on a virtual tabletop or we're playing in person, a couple of things are immediately, pardon the pun, but off the table, right?
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's hard to do a jump scare. It's hard to, you're going to have visuals and you can have photos and but you don't have the elements that a film, motion picture.
Sure.
You don't have the creepy soundtrack. You could play some music. I put music on my phone before, you probably have too, and just sat it there for mood music in the background. But you don't have all the elements that make horror so successful.
Sure.
But then on the other side, I think the creepiest thing of playing horror, using horror, is like when you read a book, when you use your imagination, because your imagination has to fill in the blanks. Broad question: how do you make that happen in an adventure?
Yeah, so I'm not necessarily looking for jump scares or horror in that way. I think building suspense is a really important part of things, making sure that the game is well paced. So a lot of times in a horror game, you're gonna delay the first combat for as long as possible to build up that suspense. You can do creepy very well in tabletop RPGs, especially in Wicked Witch of the Woods. There's some very creepy things going on in this adventure. I think music is a huge piece of this, setting the mood and tone. You can find some really creepy, either some really cool, like free for use Halloween kind of music available, like creepy Halloween music. And I think kind of going from there is probably where I'd start people off at.
Yes, you're not exactly, your hands aren't bound behind your back. There are some things you can do, but I think it's important for a DM or a GM to understand that, okay, just saying I want to play a horror game and you reading the story and going, oh, this is a great adventure, they're going to be scared. They're probably not, unless you ensure a couple of things happen. Okay, with that, thank you for humoring me with that question. Let's jump into Wicked Witch of the Woods. Now, would you like to see if you can share your screen? Do you have your PDF handy?
I do. I think I'm prepared today, which makes it for the first time. We'll do share screen.
I just chose guest can control all presentations, so you should be. Oh yeah, there it is, right there. Bink.
All right.
Look at us go.
How's that? Does that look good?
It does. How do I get this witch off the screen? I really don't need her. Let me go back here. And is she gone? Oh, come on, lady.
You can't get rid of a witch once they show up, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, well, we'll just talk.
Yeah, it's going to be fine. It's adding ambiance, okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said anything. They would thought it was intentional.
You're good. So is there anything particular you wanted me to go
Well,
over?
why don't you, I mean, I know a little about it. I don't want to give away anything. Why don't you just walk us through it, recalling that probably most of your followers and most of my followers and friends that watch our two channels are probably already GMs. I will state and do the obligatory, if you're a player and you're going to play this, join us later or come back another day or something.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
You don't ruin it. Come watch it, after Halloween. But if you're a GM and all that, I think, Will, you could probably show us what's another Wizard of Oz metaphors or alliteration. Show us what's behind the curtain. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, we've got this gorgeous piece of art here. I believe it's from Ricardo de Gaspar. I got this on Drive Through RPG pretty cheap. I think it's a fantastic piece. I think it really captures the overall kind of mood and theme of the adventure. We've already touched on it. Yeah, it's a gorgeous piece of art. No, not quite the iconic Green Witch from the movie that I'm now blanking on.
The Wizard of Oz.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, not that one. The first one. But yeah, so gorgeous piece of artwork here. Again, this is a dark fairy tale adventure, and it's for level 1 characters. This is meant as an intro kind of adventure. Fun fact, I originally created this adventure to be an introduction for my mom to the world of tabletop RPGs. And we actually ended up playing like a one-on-one session, and this was her first ever experience. And that whole thing was recorded and is available over on my YouTube channel if folks want to see my mom get into the thick things with this adventure. It was a ton of fun. She loved it, and we'll probably end up doing it again at some point soon.
That is so cool. Yeah, we talked about that. And I think this is, you're going to see the kind of adventure you could play with friends and family and have a lot of fun, even if they're not really role playing gamers,
Yes, I intentionally wanted to create this in like a dark fairy tale setting that I think most people are probably have a good basis of familiarity for this over something like D&D, where it's a little bit more niche maybe, but I feel like everybody should know kind of their dark fairy tale Brothers Grimm kind of thing. Although the more I say that, the more people will probably be like, especially the younger generation, maybe you're not as familiar with these stories as we were. But yeah, so very, very cool setting, and a ton of people went into the creation of the adventure. I'm not going to go through and list everybody, but there's a ton of really important folks that are behind this whole thing. It wasn't just me who put this together by myself.
Got to give the props to the rest of the team, right?
That's right.
It takes a bit of a team, no matter how small or how large the project.
Absolutely. And just to give a little bit of basis for people to understand where I'm coming from on this, my main sources of inspiration for this were like Hansel and Gretel, The Wizard of Oz, and then the movie The Witch by Robert Eggers from 2015. So all of these things are kind of tied into the adventure in some way. So just to give people a basis of reference for where we're going.
Very cool.
All right. All right, so next we've got this. We've got our table of contents as you need in any good adventure. This is all hyperlinked, so you can jump directly to whatever page of the document you need to go to, which I always appreciate when I'm
Love
reading
it.
through stuff.
Yeah.
And I highly encourage any creators out there to make sure that that their stuff is hyperlinked whenever possible. Next, we've got a little bit of an introduction to the adventure. So I go through the fact that this is a level 1 adventure. You can play it with anywhere between 1 to 6 players and 1 GM. As I said, I ran this as a solo session for my mom, and it went great. And I also ran it for 2 different other groups, 1 online, 1 in person, with I think 5 players in each of those groups. So it does scale very well, depending on the number of players in the game.
And as far as players, if you are playing with family or playing with younger kids, is there anything in here that might be too creepy for a certain age? I mean, hell, the image right there
Yeah.
from, was it Ricardo? That might be much for little tiny kids, but what would you suggest reasonably for?
So, yeah, I should probably just say I don't have children. I'm probably not the best person to judge what is or isn't appropriate. I feel like this is pretty tame. There is like some child endangerment stuff in here, but there's no risk of the child dying or anything like that. They've just been kidnapped, and the witch is she's administered to them a nightmare elixir, which puts them to sleep and makes them afraid. And she collects their tears and uses that to sustain her unnatural life. So I think that's probably
pretty soft. Yeah,
it's pretty soft.
There's nobody being decapitated, cut into bits, and cooked in a pie or anything.
No, you could definitely go that route if you wanted to. Like you could definitely go a little darker with it if you wanted to. Sure. But I wanted to make it family friendly because originally I wanted to run this for my mom, right? And,
no, that's a great idea. Yeah, keep it.
Yeah,
keep it PG or even less, and then that way more people can approach it. And like you say, more veteran or jaded, or people like me who are lost souls in the grimdark, we can always,
Yes, it's very easy to make this much darker than I have originally written it. And as it actually turns out, my mom actually was a lot more bloodthirsty in the session than I expected that she was going to be. So that was a pleasant surprise for me as well.
I want to hear. I'm gonna have to go watch that video. I said that last time you told me about.
Yeah, please do.
Your mom doing that, and I haven't done it, but
I think it's only like an hour and a half or something, and the pace is actually very quick. It's not like your typical actual play where there's like a ton of talking back and forth and stuff. It's very, very like we're going to the next thing. And she did an absolutely fantastic job. She's never played a TTRPG before, but she is an absolute natural. So it was.
Yeah, great. I mean, everybody talks about how approachable and easy to learn Shadowdark is.
So,
it seems to be bringing in people into RPGs as an entry point like never before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really large numbers. So that's an exciting thing for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah,
all of them good.
I would never have introduced my mom through 5e. I think that would have been a little bit too much, but Shadowdark by itself is great. And then I even took a step and I made a very simplified character sheet for her. And I got her these big, huge, colorful foam dice. So I could just be like, okay, roll the yellow dice. Okay, now roll the red dice. And it was fantastic. So
that's great.
Really, really cool. Let's see. Yeah, this was designed specifically to be run as a one shot. You can do it anywhere. You can get a pretty satisfying session anywhere between like 2 and 4 hours. And there are very specific mechanics in the game that give the GM a lot of latitude in terms of when they can start winding the session down. So you can pretty much wind it down at any time you want to.
I'm playing with a different layout.
You're good.
If I can get us something bigger, because I don't want our little images.
Yeah, no worries.
Blocking the supplement.
The text.
The text here.
Let me. I can do this. I can go a little bit more manual on my side.
There you go. Yeah, and that's a good idea. Even if you have to kind of move around. You can. Okay. Sorry to disrupt. Yeah.
No, you're totally fine. So there's also a section here for supplemental materials. So there's a hyperlink on this PDF that will take you directly to a Google Drive that has all of the various maps that you need for this adventure, as well as I think there's 6 pre-generated characters that are available as well. So you don't have to do hardly any prep to do this. You can just roll it out, have the characters pick their PCs and go off to the races. So hopefully people find that convenient. Yeah. And at the end, remind me, and I'll show you all the maps and all the pre-generated characters.
Okay.
So I think that'll be good. In terms of the hook, it is a very simple, classic witchy story. The characters have recently arrived in kind of an isolated rural village, and there is a child that has gone missing recently, and the mother of that child has approached the PCs and asked them to go into the big, bad, dark forest and track down her missing child. Spoiler alerts that the child has been abducted by the witch and is now being subjected to her nightmare elixirs, and their tears are being harvested to sustain the witch's unnatural life, as we discussed.
I love the German names, Hans and Franz and Martha.
Yeah, thank you.
Very German names.
I don't think we get enough German stuff in fantasy outside
Not
of
at all.
the empire of Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah, and so many Grimms and so many
Yes.
of the fairy tales from Europe come out of Central Europe and the German and Celtic before that, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I wanted to give this a very Grimm's fairy tale kind of vibe, and I thought that the German setting would really hammer that home.
Germans are scary. We can all agree.
They definitely can be.
That was a joke.
Also, some of the nicest people that I lived over there for 2 years when my dad was in the military.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, yeah. And actually, everybody over there was like super friendly and nice. Of course, I was over there like 20 or 30 years ago at this point. So
they're probably still just as nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So nothing but good things to say from my end of the spectrum.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. But there are a couple Easter eggs in here, so you can see that there is a Hans in here that is an allusion to Hansel, and then also there is a sister Dorothea in the game as well, and that is a reference to Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz.
The Empire
Yeah, not that one. For some reason, I can never remember the name of the movie. That's pretty funny that I made an adventure about witches and I can't remember Wizard of Oz. That's fine. So there's a little bit more of a background information page here. So basically, the hook section is the part that is good to share with the PCs relatively early in the story. You can even give this to them as a pre-game handout and start the game directly at the cottage if you wanted to do that. But then there's also a section on background, which gives you more of a GM-facing information about the adventure itself. So it tells you exactly who the witch is, why she stole the kid, what's going on with all the various different things all the things the GM needs to know prior to the start of the game. And I try to get that in just like a half a page of information, so it's not overwhelming. Go ahead.
This is good. This is tight, very well organized.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Layout is really important to me, and I also know personally I get overwhelmed by the amount of words on some of these longer RPG products. I know personally I don't want to read through pages and pages of backstory in order to be able to get the game up and running. Same for you?
Challenge. Yeah, we played a game the other night that I'd written in my zine. And I saw it, but I saw all the other guys playing too, like, oh, come on, get to it. I'm like, uh-oh, I got to slash half of this lore out of here. They don't want it. They don't need it.
Yeah.
So it just takes a while. It's hard to edit yourself. But.
It is. It really is. I got really lucky. I have some friends that are willing to do read-throughs for me. There was a very nice gentleman in my Discord. I believe his name is Ben Kilma. You can see it in the credits page. He did a free proofreading and editing pass for me a couple days ago. He found a couple typos that I missed. So big shout out to Ben. I really appreciate that.
Well done, Ben.
Yeah. All right, let's see here. So we've already talked about session length. I think you get a very satisfying session between 2 and 4 hours long. And also, as I said, the GM has a lot of latitude to kind of force the climax of the adventure at any time they feel is appropriate. And there are a couple suggestions here about when might be a good time to do that. And now, under normal circumstances, I might not include a mechanic like this because I don't want players to feel railroaded or anything like that. But in the case of a Halloween-specific one-shot, where you may only have a very specific and maybe very short amount of time to get a satisfying experience out of this module, I did want to give the GMs that freedom to kind of force that climactic fight or encounter at any time they felt was appropriate.
Yeah.
Next, we've got some difficulty-related optional rules. Again, I created this adventure to be run for my mom. As a solo session, and she had never played a TTRPG before. So I wanted to give other people the opportunity to kind of replicate that experience if they wanted to, or to introduce other people to the hobby. This might be a really good introductory point for them to do so. And in service of that goal, I've added a couple of these optional rules that you can use to decrease the overall difficulty of the adventure, if that's something that you want to do. But if you're an old grognard and you don't want to use any of these things, the game is going to function just fine if you play standard.
This might be easier if they're first level characters, because you could always say, hey, the witch, if it comes down to an encounter or combat, can only be struck by magical weapons. I don't know if that's what you did or not. I'm just saying I find a problem in my stuff with I'll write up a villain, which I think is really cool and really neat. Yeah. And they just tear through them like chainsaws, and I'm like, I've really got to buff these people up. And I like the idea when they're halfway 50-50 or bloodied or blooded or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, they're at half strength and you give them some extra power or something, some boost of something that could help them conceivably.
I think that's very cool. And so in this particular adventure, the witches can be struck by normal weapons because there's like not a lot of magic. There's like no magical weapons in the
First
adventure.
level, yeah.
Yeah. But it's very easy to tune up the power of the witch if you would like to do that. You can just double her hit points. That would probably be fine. We'll get to her at the end.
Sure. Yeah, I'm jumping ahead in the
No,
story.
you're totally fine. But yeah, so I'm not going to go through each of these various different rules, but
That's fine.
needless to say, there are a number of different knobs that you can use as the GM to dial the difficulty up and down if you want to do so.
Yeah, see Huntsman to the rescue. Basically,
Yes.
if we need that, if things really went south with the rats at the beginning or giant ants or whatever you have in their way.
Yep, absolutely. And then I mentioned earlier, the adventure is designed to scale based on the number of players that are in the game, anywhere from 1 to 6. And if you only have a single PC that's going in, like the case is when I ran it for my mom, Sister Dorothea, a priest NPC from the town, will also join the PC on the adventure. So you have at least like 2 characters when you're going in, which alleviates a lot of the unlucky, like, oh, I got crit by a goblin and now I'm dead and the adventure's over. It gives a little bit more leeway. And she's also got healing spells as well, as you can see on here. Yeah. Very cool. Then we've got a quick 2-page spread here about the village of Waldheim, which is the starting town for this adventure. It goes through and it gives a little bit of information about the 4 various points of interest in town, as well as a couple of the NPCs that you might encounter in the village. Again, very standard kind of witch adjacent kind of stuff. You're not going to see anything groundbreaking or any sort of strange twists in this adventure. I just wanted to really lean into the wicked witch trope and kind of play it straight. But that doesn't mean that the town is completely boring, because if you talk to the various different NPCs and you get on their good sides, they can provide you with certain supplies that will be beneficial to you on your journey. And that's a good reminder for me that I need to silence my phone.
No problem. I like the point crawl feel. This is the way I kind of like to do small settings myself, right?
Cool.
Even towns, is give them a certain number of points to bounce around and explore.
Yeah, and I think especially for a one shot, especially one of this size, where you want to be able to get it done fairly quickly, I think it's important to have a very small town portion of the adventure so that you can get directly into the actual meat of it. Right. And if you have a group that can only have like 2 hours to run this, you can very easily skip the town altogether and just give them a very quick synopsis, find the child and bring him back home safely, and that is your mission. You can just go from there.
And just play the dungeon.
Yes, correct. But if you have a group that's got a little bit more time and they want to do more of the role play stuff and really get immersed in the world, you have some information here to give you a framework for how to navigate the village.
Yeah, love the options.
Yes, awesome. All right, so that brings us to the witch's cottage itself. This is a 2-level dungeon. The first floor is, I think, 9 rooms, and the bottom one's got like maybe 4 or 5. There are some random encounters here, as you might expect for a Shadowdark adventure. Again, fairly straightforward stuff. Mugwort is the witch's goblin assistant, who happens to be fast asleep when the PCs arrive at the cottage, because he has accidentally drunk the last of the witch's nightmare elixir, which has put him to sleep. So there could be some play there. Or if you get unlucky on a random encounter, he might wake up and become a real problem for the PCs. Other than that, we've also got some bats and rats, which is classic witchy fare, as well as some animated puppets, which we might talk about a little bit later. One thing that I did try to do with the adventure is that I did put all of the stat blocks that you might need for the random encounters on the same page as the random encounter table. So that's reducing the amount of time that you're having to flip back and forth between the various different areas.
Yeah, wonderful idea.
Thank you. I don't want to go through each of the various different rooms because I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, you don't need to read it just verbatim. That's fine. I mean, they can explore it. And while if we didn't mention it earlier, I believe all of this is only $5 on DTRPG. So
it is, yes.
If you're watching your budget, but you want something fun for Halloween to play with your table or to play online, $5, folks. Come on.
Thank you. That's a great shout out. So yeah, the PDF
Yeah.
is $5, and there's also a soft cover version that's just came up for available. I think that one's like $8 or something, and you get it through print on demand. So it'll take a couple weeks to get to you, but hopefully still fairly affordable for folks.
Of course, I'm guessing if they buy the print piece, they'll get it later, but they'll get the PDF right away. They could run the game with that,
Yes,
even if the book comes after Halloween or something.
Yep, it's bundled, so you can get the PDF and the soft cover for the same price. Like, you're not paying extra for getting both,
Right.
and
Yeah,
you get the PDF delivered right away. So there's no downside to picking it up.
very good.
So like I said, I'm not going to go through each of the individual areas. I think a lot of it is probably what you might expect from a witch's cottage. I did want to point out that there are multiple ways to enter the home, either through the front door or through various different windows. And depending on which entrance you choose, you might get a little bit of a different experience. So I know a lot of folks in the OSR really appreciate dungeons that have multiple entrances.
Hey, this is kind of creepy. I'm seeing wooden dolls here. You had animated puppets before. What is it about toys that come to life that is so creepy for kids? I guess because you spend so much time with your toys. There's a fear that they're going to come to life and come attack you or something while you're sleeping.
Yep, I 100% agree. I think 100% to do with like childhood and how you feel as a child, and also the fact that they are connected to children. And we always find, when we need to protect children, that can be very scary if they're in danger. And if you are a child, you're obviously scared a lot as well. So I think that's probably the connection. But yeah, so instead, like we mentioned earlier, instead of going for more of like a horror vibe for this, it really is more about being sinister and creepy. As opposed to any sort of jump scare.
Yeah, it almost feels a little more mystery and
Yes.
thematic to a classic, beloved genre, right? It doesn't really feel too scary, but that's in the eyes of the beholder, I guess. And the younger folks you got to watch out for, as we said earlier.
Yep, absolutely. Like I said, I'm not going to go through all of them, but I think the playroom is a really good example of like kind of setting the tone for some creepy stuff. This is basically a child's bedroom, and there are like toys all over the place. There's like dolls. There's a music box that's playing a sinister lullaby that can, lull the characters to be moving really, really slowly throughout the house. And the slower they go, the more likely there are to be random encounters. So there's various different ways to deal with that, etc. Another thing that I really wanted to talk about was throughout the house, the witch has left various different notes. So you really are kind of meeting the character of the witch before you actually meet her in the final act. So you get a little bit of a feel for who she is and what she's about. So the first note that you run into is really it's more of like a concerned parent kind of vibe, but also very creepy. It's basically just a list. It's like a list of rules that the kids need to abide by, and it's posted in the bedroom. So the first rule is like always do what Auntie says, no matter what. It says that good little boys and girls are going to get some of Auntie's famous apple pie, but bad boys and girls are going to be sent to the quiet room without their supper.
In a strange, perverse kind of way, I think this kind of feels German also.
yeah. I think there's definitely some hints of that there. This is definitely, I think this is very much like right from Brothers Grimm inspired sources. So it would not surprise me at all if that was the case. But yeah, so this is the first introduction to the witch, and then we'll see another note later in the house where she kind of reveals more of her true colors. Yeah.
You taught me something there. I love that idea. But I guess if you think about it, in most good movies, they never start out with the monster in the beginning. It's always the build up, the tension kind of builds, and you get clues. And did you use any rumors in here? I guess you're using the notes in that same place, right?
The notes are working that way. And then also there's information in the town that you can get from the townsfolk.
Yeah, so you build up that tension. Love that, Will.
Yeah.
That's great.
Just a quick aside, there is a kitchen area in here, and there's a couple of very interesting herbs and spices that the characters can acquire if they're able to pass a wisdom check, or if their character has a background in maybe herbs and plants, they might be able to identify what these are for free. And these are going to give buffs to the characters that are going to come in very, very handy throughout the course of the adventure. So definitely don't miss out on this part if your characters are coming through here. Also, there's an oven in this room that does damage to anyone who might fall into it. So yeah,
I love the herbs and things that you have in there. You expect that with witches and so forth to have the natural elements that are used for good or ill.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought it was really important to try to capture the core essence of the witch, and I think that potion brewing and herbal remedies are a huge part of that process. Also, as a quick an Easter egg, this is actually my family's coat of arms, the Harshman coat of arms. So I put that in here as kind of like a plot hook that you could use to extend the campaign past this first session. This actually belongs to the noble family of Harshman, And if you can track them down and return their plate to them, they might become some sort of benefactor or patron and lead you on other various different adventures throughout the course of the game.
Nice touch. Yeah, it's a little hard to make out in
It
black
is.
and white.
It is.
But I
It's
know you
not
don't
easy.
want to suddenly inject one piece of color.
Yeah.
But no,
But
it's
yes,
very cool.
there's a little bit of a zoom in. Also, some of the pre-generated characters have backgrounds and quirks that are tied directly into the adventure. And there is at least, I don't want to spoil anything, but there is at least one character that has some sort of tie to the Harshman family. And this might have special significance for that character.
Is his name Little Willie?
It is not. It is not.
You should have had a Little Willie in here somewhere.
Yeah, I did not do a self-insert.
The family.
You're always welcome to change the names to whatever you think is more appropriate. There is
like
also
the Hitchcock thing, where he always has a brief cameo in all of his films.
Yes. Yeah, this is my first family cameo, and I thought it was pretty fun. Plus, I had the perfect amount of space on the page to add a picture here. So, like, how could I resist? I'm not going to talk too much about the quiet room. I want that to stay a little bit of a surprise, but it's very much what you might expect it to be, with a little bit of a twist. Next, we've got Mugwort's quarters. So Mugwort again is the witch's goblin assistant, and again he has accidentally drank the wrong type of potions, and he is now suffering from the effects of a nightmare elixir, which has put him to sleep, and he is now suffering from various different nightmares. One of the most important pieces in this room is another note from the witch to Mugwort, berating him for his drinking of the incorrect potion, as well as giving him some instructions on what to do once he wakes up. And those instructions include some information about the various different potions that you can find throughout the cottage, as well as the location of the missing child. So a very important piece of plot information.
That's a great way to deliver it to the notes. I never thought of that. I guess it depends on what kind of setting you have, but I pictured this old woman with Post-it notes, like stuck everywhere around the...
Yes, absolutely. And this is also the point where the characters are going to become very aware that this is actually a very evil person that they are dealing with, and then they won't maybe feel bad about beating her up a little bit at the end, because she is very dangerous and she is not very good to children or to the people that work for her. So a very important piece of information.
Mm-hmm.
Again, she's got her witch's bedroom, but we're going to scoot right on by that because there are some spoilers in that section, which leads us very nicely into the second level of the adventure, which is the witch's cellar.
And that's creepy looking.
Yeah, I love these little vines, these little twisted vines. These are like a stamp that you can use in Incarnate, which is the map making software that I use to create these maps. Very, very cool program.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's another section. You got your different random encounter tables down here. Again, I've made an effort to put all the creatures that you're going to find on the random encounter tables on this same page here. So there's not a lot of flipping back and forth to do. And then I don't want to spoil the rest of this because there's some cool stuff. So we'll just scroll right on down here. And that's pretty much the adventure.
Well done. That looks like that's easy. 3 hours of fun, give or take, depending on your number of players and a couple of other things. But yeah, that's all you could ask for, and only $5. I mean, come on, people.
Yep. Yeah. I hope that it's appropriately priced. It's not a very long adventure. It's only 23 pages, but I do think you're going to have a pretty good session running this. In addition to the PDF itself, there's also all the different maps that you saw in the PDF.
Yeah.
Plus player-facing versions of those maps that have no labels on them. And there are also color variations of those maps as well. So if you don't want to use the black and white look and you want to do something a little bit more modern, that is totally fine as well.
Oh, that's nice. I like have that option. I didn't notice. I know you had the map there. Did you show us the pre-gens as well?
Yeah, let me do that. Let me stop.
You wanted me to remind you. So
yes, thank you so much. Let me stop sharing for a second because I got to go into my personal drive and I don't know what's in there. Let me see here. Wicked Witch of the Woods. Yeah, this should be fine. I recognize that song.
Should have got some flying monkeys. That would be good too.
That would have actually been really good. I didn't even.
They weren't as scary though. They were just kind of silly looking, even as a kid. But the green witch on the roof killed me every time.
I remember some people being pretty scared
of the flying monkeys.
Yeah, so that may not have been a universal experience. Okay, Am I sharing again? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I had to click it. There we go.
You're good. So here you can see the various different versions of the maps. I'll just go through them briefly.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I love this.
Yeah. So again, you got your black and white version of the town. You've got your color version of the town. Big shout out to my friend Ian, by the way, who made this map for me. Also in Incarnate, I think he did a great job. And he actually did an extra special job because originally he did this to be done only in color. And when he did the original iteration, it didn't come out very well in black and white. So he actually went back and like tidied it up and made it look. I think it looks really great, even in the kind of the grayscale.
Yeah.
So here's the Witch's Cellar with the black and white GM version. This is the black and white players version with none of the labels on it. And then here is the color version of that map. I think the color, personally, I really love the color, but I know there's a lot of folks in the OSR community that want their old school black and white maps. So I try to give that to them as well.
Yeah, but no, that color one was really cool with the spider webs down in the corner.
Yeah, I love it. I think Incarnate's such a cool tool, and you can do a lot of it for free too. I have a subscription to the premium, but you can get away with a lot of stuff just using the free version.
I played with it a little bit. I need to spend some more time on there though.
It's very cool. We got the upper level. We got the GM, then the player version. Here's the color version as well. For this one, I really do like the color version because you can actually see the colors of the various different.
Oh yeah, they kind of pop out at you, don't they?
Yep, and the color of the potion is actually very important for the for because they do different things. Mm-hmm. So like knowing what that potion is going to be before you get it is important to know. Yeah, so those are the maps available for Wicked Witch of the Woods, and then I'll also show you the pre-generated characters as well, if it will cooperate with me. So little 2 pages here. The first page is we got some art. This one happens to be by Dean Spencer, a very prolific artist in kind of the OSR kind of community. He's one of my favorite guys. Mm-hmm. In addition to that, there's also some non-mechanical information on this page, like the name of the NPC, their class and their background, a brief description, motivation, flaw, as well as a secret for that character, just to give them a little bit more substance and kind of give them something to do role-playing wise if they want to in the adventure. So this particular character, his secret is he actually used to work for a Captain Harshman, but he actually ended up betraying his commander, which led to his commander's death, and he feels a lot of guilt over that betrayal. So if he sees that, if he sees the plate with the Harshman coat of arms, that might prompt some sort of role-playing scene, and it might also extend into later adventures if you decide to turn this into a longer campaign.
Yeah, that's a great point. I don't know. I'm sorry to jump in, Will. We didn't talk about this earlier, but this could be plugged into anything, really. Dolmen Wood or Keep on the Borderlands. Take your pick.
I like that.
It's short and it's tight, and it could appear over any little next hill on the road, right?
Yeah, I definitely think so. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like in a German themed campaign. I think you could drop this town or this region pretty much anywhere in the world and it would be totally fine.
Agreed. Yeah. Nice.
And then, of course, you've got your form fillable PDF for the characters. And then it's got all the stats on there that you need to play the character. You don't need to do anything special to get this up and running.
Very cool. Yeah, that makes life easy to get started.
Yeah, you just throw people in. Don't need any experience. And then there's 6 more, but I don't know if we need to go through each one of them.
Let's see. We got the priest. We got the bard.
Yep.
Humorous just for a second. Can we look at the bard?
Absolutely.
I have not really gone into the bard space or played with anyone who played a bard yet in Shadowdark.
So we've got Lorelei, the bard / minstrel. She happens to be on the run from a powerful noble from whom she stole a small fortune and has already spent it, which again could come up in future sessions if you decide to keep playing this as a campaign. There are also some very valuable but very dangerous things in the witch's cottage. So maybe you can reward the player for trying to take something that looks very dangerous, but it would also play into her love of wealth. Then we've also,
I like the flawed category too. You're not just building these pre-gens up as great characters.
None of these folks are like saints, except maybe the priest, arguably, but he's also got a secret of his own. So and then of course we've got the character sheet here, basically everything that you should need to play the character.
I love it, man. That is awesome.
Thank you. It's definitely a labor of love. I hope people get it and enjoy it for what it is.
For sure. It's almost worth it to get it just for the pre-gens. You
Maybe.
play a lot of Shadowdark and you wind up in a lot of funnels, or you want, you know.
Yeah, you never know. And I will say these characters
gauntlets.
are a little bit stronger, I think, than your average Shadowdark character. I think I did start them at max hit points, and their stats are also probably a little bit better on average than you would get if you just rolled something up. So something to consider if you're trying to play a lower powered game.
Yeah, no, that's really good. Is that everything for Wicked Witch of the Woods?
That's everything.
All right, so after we close this out, everyone, your next visit is going to be to Drive Through RPG and go get Wicked Witch of the Woods. And Will, would they find you under Runeforge Tabletop Gaming on Drive Through and find all your stuff?
Yes, absolutely.
Shadows
they can.
Camelot, etc.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'll put things in the show notes here as always. So check it out and leave a comment for us. Let us know if you play this, if you try this, if maybe you buy it and then buff it up for third level characters, you know, or add to it or expand to it. Love to hear I always like to hear what people do with a published, you know, piece of work and how they're going to use it. You know, dice it up. Feel free to ask questions, and we can always pass on info from Will and what he says, and be glad to explore it.
Yeah, please let me know. I love to hear when folks are running my stuff. I just had a post in the Discord the other day. A guy's running one of my adventures at a convention. He printed out the whole map in full color. It looks gorgeous. Wow. I love seeing it. It's like my favorite thing. Also, if you do end up picking it up, regardless of whether or not you like it or not, please leave me a review on Drive Through RPG. It helps immensely, even if it's not like the most glowing thing. If it's not a good review, it's good feedback for me. And if it is a good review, that's fantastic. And hopefully it'll make other people more likely to pick up the adventure in the future.
For sure.
Yeah.
Will, thanks for joining me again. We'll do this again.
Yeah.
I know you want me to come over on your channel.
Yes.
We'll do that too. We'll do home and away, back and forth.
That sounds great.
For the rest of you, thanks for joining us, and have a great Halloween later this month, and play some Shadowdark. We'll see you soon.
Bye, y'all.